Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cardinals Corner. I'm happy to be back here in studio, but my co-host Tyler Drake, as you can tell, not back in studio with me. He's been down at Cardinals all day, and he's joining me live on Zoom right now. So, Tyler, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Thanks for holding it down there. Obviously, I'm on baby watch a little bit with Baker about less than a week out from the due date. And yes, just getting back from Cardinals. You've got your Burns and Gambo priorities. So, yep, fitting in right now. And yeah, ready to talk some football, especially coming off that huge win. That was a big one. So let's get right into it.
I'm sad I didn't be able to pod with you guys. I was out just a little bit sick last weekend.
Yeah.
I missed a very exciting win for the Cardinals. So bummed I didn't get to talk to you guys about that, but I've been talking about it on air this week with Burns and Gambo. So coming off of that exciting momentum.
Before we get there, what did you like out of that game? Because you didn't get to say anything. We didn't have you on last time. So what did you like out of that game?
Thank you for asking. What I liked about that game was the diversity in the offense for the Arizona Cardinals in their passing game. Just the ability to throw it downfield, keep things short. Nothing felt complicated for Kyler. It felt like he was very in control. We saw him go up to the line multiple times during the game, change the play call. He didn't like something. He felt like he wanted to change it. And he felt truly comfortable in the pocket for the first time in a way that I haven't seen him in years. That passer rating reflected that. But it felt like he had options anywhere he wanted down the field, and he was doing his reads quicker than ever.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a big thing, especially with what head coach Jonathan Gannon and offensive coordinator Drew Petzing said this week. Like, yeah, the big plays were awesome, but they talked a lot about just his ability to get that 7-yard pass to Trey Benson and how he went through his reads in about a half a second before he got to the right read, got that little pickup. But that just showed you right there kind of just how ingrained and how focused he is on this scheme and how much he knows it. Like, really seems like the back of his hand at this point. Like, it just seems like he is fully confident in what this offense is all about.
It's that comfort in this regime and now being under it for a few years that I feel like it's the first time we've seen that consistency from this regime for Kyler to feel comfortable in that position and that high football IQ, man. Everybody's been talking about it this week, but it really felt like you saw everything you've wanted to see from Kyler as a Cardinals fan actually materialize on the field.
Yeah. And I think it's just another part of his evolution. Like, I think everybody saw off the field taking huge steps in the offseason. Now we're seeing that kind of translate on the field. And I think it's a big mixture of all of that, off the field, on the field, having relatable teammates, knowing that you are the leader of this team. I think all of that's really working towards his favor.
And just like we saw Kyler comfortable with his offensive line for what it seemed like the first time in a while on Sunday, I know you have an injury update for us heading into this week for Kelvin Beachum.
Yep. So Beachum actually did not pop up on the practice field today, and he instead he did not practice today, I should say. He was limited yesterday, and he is officially questionable for Sunday's game. So the fill-in starting right tackle is now questionable, so that's going to open up. There's some concern there. Obviously, Beach being the veteran that he is, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe everything's good. He just needed the day off, and he goes out there and starts like normal. But if you look at the depth behind him, it gets pretty murky. You've got Jackson Barton, who's on the practice squad right now. You've got Charlie Heck, who's on the practice squad. There's nobody on the active roster right now that is a backup to what Beachum brings. So it's going to be really interesting. I think if we get into Saturday and we see that both Charlie Heck and Jackson Barton are elevated, that's going to signal that Beach probably isn't going to go. If it's just one of those guys, that will give me at least some optimism that maybe Beachum can make it back out there for Sunday. But it's going to be really tough, especially with knowing who they're going up against in Aidan Hutchinson and the 5.5 sacks he's bringing to the game. So I can tell you right now, if it has to be a Jackson Barton or a Charlie Heck, Hutchinson's probably not moving. So at least you don't have to worry about his versatility so much in that regard. But he's going to be teeing off a lot against either of those guys if Beach can't go.
I'm putting my concern meter right around a 8. If we don't see Beach out there on the field going up against Hutch, especially with that elevation of practice squad, the lack of depth for the Cardinals in general at the offensive line, what would you put your level of concern at?
Yeah, I think I'm probably right about there, too. It's a bummer because if Christian Jones was healthy and off the IR, he would be the guy that I would assume would fill in right away behind Beachum. But with him still fighting his way back, he was on the side working today. It's really coming down to a couple of guys. I know Charlie Heck has a little more starting experience than Jackson Barton, but clearly they like Jackson Barton. He was the guy they brought in last week, elevated last week, and he's been in the system. So there's just some familiarity there. So it's going to be pretty concerning if Beach can't go for sure.
You touched on it a little bit there with Aidan Hutchinson, just what he brings to this incredible Lions team. He had 4 sacks last week. I mean, he's looked unstoppable heading into this season. It's hard to look at those metrics now. We're only 2 weeks in. He's a leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year already. He would average something around 80 sacks in that ballpark if he kept it up all season. Obviously, that's not going to happen, nor am I saying that's going to happen. But the fact that somebody is already averaging right around that number is ridiculous. Yeah. So how do you think the Cardinals can best, I don't want to say stop because he's impossible to stop, but what do you think is the best way to hinder his ability on the field?
I think it comes down to getting the run game going. I really do. Make him kind of second guess a little bit. Are they going to run? Are they going to throw? Like, if you can really establish that run game early on, which is really tough against this Lions team, I think they're one of the best teams against the run so far through 2 weeks. That's going to be able to maybe have him not pin his ears back left and right every single snap whenever he's going to go pass rush. But that's the thing there. I think if you can attack them with a violent physical run game against a very good, pass rush run defense, that's going to open up windows to maybe get Kyler away from Aidan more than running right into his grill, pretty much, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would say getting Connor going, getting that run game going. I mean, getting the ball out quickly, that's going to be another big thing too. We could be seeing a lot of dump off or a lot of check down things, just so where there's less time for Aidan to make a play, more time for Kyler to just get that rock out.
And that would be best case scenario as we see the Kyler Murray of last week reemerge against the Lions again and keep our confidence really high in this Arizona Cardinals team. I know Jonathan Gannon has spoke on it many times. He doesn't believe in momentum. Momentum from week to week is not a thing. He discussed that today. I believe in momentum. I think that's a thing. And as a fan, I think it gives us a lot of hope to have momentum and, be excited about this Cardinals team. Touching on that run game there, the Lions have arguably the most dynamic run game in the NFL in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The Cardinals also highly touted for their dynamic run game in James Conner and Trey Benson. I'd say if I think the Cardinals have to do anything to win this game on Sunday, it's get Trey Benson going.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, because at two-headed monsters, it makes all the difference. As you said, Gibbs and Montgomery, they've got that down to a T. I mean, I think they're splitting almost exactly carries. Their yardage isn't that far off. I think David Montgomery has one more touchdown than Gibbs. They can it's pick your poison really with either of those guys. So if Trey can really up his game this week and really be a factor, I think these last couple of weeks have been rough for him. That could go a long way in just giving the Lions a new look, because everybody knows James Conner is going to get this ball. Everybody knows Kyler Murray is going to have those scrambles or have those designed runs every once in a while. What can Trey Benson bring that maybe the Lions haven't seen yet and give them the edge? That's going to be huge. So, yeah, I really like that thinking of make sure there's two-headed monsters on both sides of the ball at that point.
And try to make this matchup as even and fair as possible on the offensive side of the ball. I'd say Trey Benson's my player for the Arizona Cardinals that I'm looking at to get going, to even out this offensive matchup. Is there some way that you think the Cardinals can even out this offensive matchup, or somebody you're looking towards?
I'll give you a name right now. It's Greg Dortch, and he popped up on the injury report today as limited, and he's officially questionable at the hamstring too, which is a little rough being a wide receiver with this hamstring injuries. You never know if they're just depending on how serious or not serious it is, but he's been my guy all week that I've pinpointed as he's the guy that's got to feast this week. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a huge game last week, but it's got to be Greg Dortch this week because, as you've seen the last 2 weeks, the Lions haven't really had an answer for these slot guys. Chris Godwin blew them apart last week. Almost all of his yardage, I think outside of one catch and 1 yard, came from just working out of the slot. He just wrecked those guys. And then you add the week 1 was Cooper Kupp. And yeah, he didn't flash out of the slot. I think he had like 6 or 7 catches for 40 yards. But all of those were a lot of those were chunk plays, first down, gave them something manageable to work with in that series. And you could see that really helped generate more of that offense for the Rams. So there's different ways that he can really make an impact in this game. But he's really got to get involved. And I think, Kyler's got the utmost confidence in him. Greg has the utmost confidence in himself. I think everybody knows he's one of the more confident guys on the team. So if he can go, I would imagine he's going to go. Obviously, it's questionable, but he's almost the X factor at this point. Like, it should be lighting the torch in week 3 because that's where I think this mismatch can really be exploited moving forward.
I really like that you said lighting the torch with a straight face. Just kept going, no pause. I appreciate
In my head, I was smiling.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm glad, because over here I was smiling. I found it great. And what you touched on there, I think, sort of summarizes the one thing I wanted to see from the Cardinals against the Rams last week that we didn't see, which is more diversity in the run and pass game. More of sort of, I don't want to say a split. I don't want to see a split, but more comfortable in the run game outside of James Conner, bringing in Trey Benson, bringing in a DeMercado, seeing some sort of different looks, maybe a few check downs, and
more deep shots.
Exactly. More of a complete offense, if you will. Yeah. Without Greg Dortch out there, I'm really concerned about that for the Cardinals. He's brought a level of comfort this season that I think makes all the other wide receivers in the room comfortable and allowed Marvin Harrison to go off in the first quarter of last week's game like he did.
Yeah, and it's a really tough situation because if Greg does have to miss, I mean, this would be a perfect opportunity for Zay Jones, but he's suspended. Like, this is one of those opportunities that he could have really thrived in, just knowing kind of the mismatch and knowing kind of the past couple of weeks. Like, it could have been a big opportunity for him to really flex his muscles since coming over this offseason. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with what they do out of the slot, because like I just said, Zay Jones isn't there. So they're going to be working in some guys that maybe we haven't seen a ton of if Greg is hindered or if Greg doesn't make it at all.
Hopefully we don't start to see these issues pile up for the Arizona Cardinals. And with that in mind, who is your X factor for the Detroit Lions outside of who everybody knows in Aidan Hutchinson?
Yeah, I would have to say, this is tough because it comes down to one of the 2 wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. I think for me right now, I'm going to go Jameson Williams just because he's really caught fire these first 2 weeks. I think he's got like 200 yards, 10 catches, something crazy. Just a big play waiting to happen. He can really stretch the field. He's got a lot of catches over like 25, 30. He's got a couple 50-yard catches. So he's going to be the guy that really could cause some problems. Like, Cardinals go out there and really have a strong pass rush out the gates. They really can hold the Lions in check early on, which they have a really good passing game. That's going to be huge. But if they get beat like that, one of those, 2 of those, 3 of those deep balls, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for the defense moving forward. So keeping him in check, not letting him blow the top off every once in a while, that's going to be key, I think, in my mind. And like I said, Amon-Ra's huge too. Got to keep him in check. But I think right now, avoiding those dagger-type 50-yard touchdowns is going to be key for this Cardinals defense if they want to stay comfortable, confident, and rolling through week 3.
It's something that we've stressed in length is the cornerback room and just being able to keep these dominant wide receivers in check. So hopefully they can at least shut down Amon-Ra or Jameson Williams. We'll see which one of those happens and how they decide to cover them deep down the field because they're such deep ball threats. I'm switching to the other side of the ball for my Detroit Lions X Factor, and I'm going with Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph is a safety for the Detroit Lions. He has been targeted 4 or 5 times this season, only allowed 1 reception of 4 yards in his targets. He's young. It's his 3rd year in the league, but he is putting up some of the best stats we've seen of his career. To start off the season, he's had his 2 highest Pro Football Focus grades. He's had over 70% back-to-back, which is the first time it's ever happened for him, and incredibly rare for a safety in the league. So getting that wide receiver game going, especially with somebody like Greg Dortch questionable for the game, how they'll decide to play Kirby Joseph is something I'm keeping my eye on as an Arizona Cardinals fan. And he's probably a name that you don't really know because he doesn't get a lot of recognition because he's young and he isn't a Illini. So inherently, I know a little bit more about him, but I've been really excited at the evolution of his game just to see what he can do against somebody as incredibly talented as a Marvin Harrison Jr. in this league.
Yeah. I'm going to give you one more. That's a really good one. I'd not say overlooked, but yeah, that's a good rundown for sure. I'm going to give you one more, and it's a position group, the O-line for the Lions, because they are the cream of the crop. They get a lot of credit, and nothing against the Cardinals O-line. I think they are right up there too as a top 5, top 10 unit right now. But the Lions, I think, are at the top. Like, that's where you want to get to. They are such a good, cohesive unit, especially when Jared Goff's back to pass. I mean, the way that there's a reason why they're one of the best teams throwing the ball. I mean, there's a reason why Jared Goff is up there in the top 5 of passers right now. Like, this O-line is dominant, and Dennis Gardeck, Zaven Collins, Xavier Thomas, they've all got to be on their A game, especially Dennis Gardeck. He can stack another big game like that. I think there's going to be a lot less question marks, talk, chatter, outside noise, whatever you want to say about this pass rush moving forward. We talked to outside linebackers coach Robert Rodriguez today, and he just had nothing but good things to say about Dennis Gardeck and about how he worked on with his angles and all these other things, and you're seeing that right now on display. So very interested to see if he can stack another game. Maybe they got to get Marcus Golden back out there so he can get some more inspiration. that St. Louis stomp. But yeah, he's definitely another guy that I really am interested to see if he can be a deciding factor in this one.
Jared Goff is incredible coming off of a loss. When you look at his stats, following up a loss, he almost always wins the next game. He's also somebody the Arizona Cardinals have seen and are very comfortable with. And by comfortable, I mean he's recently destroyed them in matchups. So hopefully he can't do that again this week. With that in mind, predictions. What do you think happens?
Oh, okay. Let's see if the Cardinals can put their money where the mouth is. Like, this is it right here. Let's see if they can make a statement. If they can come into home, their home game. That said that all weird. They can win at home, defend the home turf against let's just say a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender. If anything, that is going to say a lot about where this team is at in year 2, especially week 1. That could have gone either way against a very good Bills team that is very much in the Super Bowl conversation. Week 2, decimated a team that's had their number for years. They haven't won at home in a decade against the Rams. They did that. This year, or this time around, keep stacking. Keep stacking. That's the biggest thing. Keep showing that progress. If you can get the better of this Lions team, this is the team that you want to get to eventually. This is the team. This is the blueprint that you want to follow. If you can go in there and knock them off, that is going to say so much, and everybody around the league is going to take notice. So this is that game. Make a statement, exclamation mark, and get to work. That's really what it comes down to. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I'm going to see if – I know JG doesn't like to talk about it. Let's see if they can ride that momentum. I'll say it.
I picked the Cardinals at the beginning of the season to win this game, mainly because – the Lions always lose one they shouldn't. Right when the schedule comes out, you look down and you go, they should win this game. And now I'm not so sure I think that they should win this game. I'm sticking with my bet. I'm doubling down. I'm going with the Cardinals right around a 24-21 game.
Oh, okay. Give me 31-28.
High scoring.
Walk-off field goal.
Oh.
57-yarder from Prater.
Prater against his old team walks it right off the field. I love the idea of that. All right. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Cardinals Corner. We will be back Sunday to follow up this with what actually happened in the Cardinals-Lions and break that one down for you, hopefully coming off of another Arizona Cardinals victory. You can follow Tyler at Drake for Sports on Twitter. He will keep you updated on all of those injury updates like Calvin Beachum and Greg Dortch heading into this week's matchup. And you can follow me at Koval_Lauren on X. Make sure you also follow Cardinals Corner at AZ Cards Corner on Twitter. All right, Tyler, you got anything else to add?
No. Go have a great Saturday off, and I'll see you Sunday, potentially. Maybe I might be helping deliver a baby, but I'll probably see you Sunday. That's where I'm going with it.
All right. Well, fingers crossed for you and fingers crossed for Mackenzie as well. We are all very excited to meet baby Baker. All right, guys, we will be back Sunday. We will see you live. I will at least be here in studio. Where Tyler will be, who knows? You got to tune in Sunday to see. Thanks, guys.